Intuition is a superpower. So if you want to remember or develop or enhance this superpower that is already in you, but perhaps is dormant, then this post is for you. Let me start with the story. I received an email one day, and I felt the very first thought that came to me was that it was an email about being laid off. And then the feelings came in and started rationalizing that email. Then I started thinking it is not, it should be this, and I was forcing myself to think it is the positive outcome. When I finally was in the meeting, it was actually me being let go. So now let's talk about intuition versus what is your self thinking and saying to you. Your very first thought after a certain question is not your guess. It is an inner knowing that is not separate from your divine guidance. It is actually your divine guidance answering you. When the first answer comes, it is actually the higher self telling you the answer. And then the mind interferes. It questions, it doubts, and tries to rationalize so that it can shape a reality when something that you hear and come to your mind is very, very uncomfortable. So that is not failure, it's just human nature to trying to make sense of what you already know, which is the first answer that came into your mind. So let's talk about how you know whether it's your mind interfering or whether it's your inner guidance. Intuition speaks calmly and very intermediate. So it comes even before the feelings and the analysis happen. It is clear, it's neutral, it's very, very direct. As an example, in my case, in that experience that I was telling you about the layoff, the very first time I saw that email, the very first thought that came into my mind was, this is probably a layoff email. And then my brain started saying, it cannot be because you were doing this, you were doing that, you were doing that it cannot be. That very first answer that came to my mind didn't have any reaction, did not have any emotion. It was very simple and accurate and direct. Then the next step that happened is the mind tries to correct it because it will try to make sense of it. Naturally, the minds want a more desirable answer or interpretation because it actually wants to shape the reality, reshape the reality. So I think that what happens is the mind tries to protect when a truth is given, right? That's a natural reaction of the mind, trying to protect from the feeling of discomfort. So again, going back to how do you know it's intuition versus the mind is the emotion that comes. When an answer comes to you, there is no emotion. And when you start feeling something, that's more of the mind. So when a thought comes to you and then you start feeling something, like for instance, you're starting to feel sad or discomfort, it's ego trying to adjust to the truth that just came upon you. For example, in my experience that I used, I saw the email, the intuition said it's a layoff email, then the ego said it can't be. Started to label it as sad. And you know it's intuition because the confirmation comes after the knowing. In the example that I gave you, it definitely confirmed it after 1 or 2 days of receiving that email that it was true. I'm sure you have had experiences where you're going out of the house and there's a thought that comes to you and you ignore it, and then after you get out of the house, you do your business, something happens, and then you said to yourself, I had that thought, but I did not act on it. That is intuition. Intuition is very calm and the emotion comes after. So there are really many good ways of strengthening and remembering your intuition and forming a good relationship with it. But for now, this is the message that is reaching to you and you are ready to hear. What I can share with you is I love my relationship with my intuition. I trust it the most over anything that I hear, see, or read. It has saved me. It has given me really clear direction on choosing the higher vibrational timeline for me and helps me in my decision making. Intuition helps me deal with life's reality challenges. Intuition helps me read a people or a situation. Intuition is always on my side. I'm hoping that through this post, you will remember or you will recognize, recognized. You will reappreciate this gift that was given to all of us. It's there, it's always been there. But because we are physical beings, we are so programmed to just look at something physical. Before you can believe it, before you can make a decision, we're always being programmed to rely on external evidence. And we were programmed to forget the internal power within us, the internal knowing that sees more and beyond what is physical. I love every one of you, and all of these messages are not just for me, but for you. Repost if you think that humanity needs to remember the power of their intuition. Sending you love, my friends.